We are playing this month of April with the theme of born again and again. And I can say and again and again and again. Because in my thinking of choosing that theme, the idea that being born again is to let go of the old and embrace the new. And spring is just a natural way that reminds us once again of that newness of birth. And our message this morning is called The Law of Energy. And as I put in my thought for the week, I like to call it divine energy. That is all there is. And I stated in the thought for the week, the law associated with this energy is one of attraction and repulsion. In other words, this energy is always moving toward or away from like and unlike energy. In our New Thought movement, we call this the law of attraction, or cause and effect. And it is one creative energy that has created and is creating everything. In our New Thought movement, we like to figure out, how can I work with this law of attraction to bring into the life that I really want? Those things, those experiences that I really want. How can I do that? And we like to figure that out, get new ideas about how to do that. So did you hear about the student who was very much adamant on wanting to seek the truth and seek wisdom? And so he trekked up the top of the mountain to seek this wisdom from a spiritual master. And sitting at the master's seat, he said, "Can you tell me the future?" "Of course I can," the master said. "It's easy. Today is just like yesterday. And tomorrow will be just like today. Unless, of course, there is a change of consciousness." We talk about consciousness in New Thought. And I've had people approach me over the years. What is consciousness? What we talk about in our Science of Mind classes. Consciousness, what does that really mean? So I thought that I would bring out our handy-dandy little book that we have in our classes that call How to Speak Science of Mind. And it's got all these different words that we throw around, And consciousness, this is what it says. What and where is consciousness? Our consciousness is our mental awareness. It is both the conscious and the subconscious mind and all they contain. In essence, our consciousness is the sum total of everything we have ever believed and accepted to be truth about ourselves from the moment we were born and until this moment in time. Our consciousness is how we make individual use of universal mind. That's probably on another page somewhere. Anyway. Our consciousness forms a belief system into which life pours itself. We can change our consciousness through spiritual mind treatment. The ultimate consciousness we want to develop would be to embrace an awareness that God is all there is. Now, the ultimate consciousness that we want to embrace or develop is God is all there is. And I'm going to tell you right here and right now that I know there's going to be a percentage of folks, when they hear that, they're going to get an angst with it. Because of that word, God. Many people have come up in their life with an association of not the most positive and warm and fuzzy feeling about the term God. And so many times we, in our teaching, are doing damage control by trying to really let folks know, well, what is this God? So what we do is we kind of tune it into God/love. Let's just know that love is all there is. Does that feel a little better? Let's hope it does, okay? Now, since love is all there is, that means I am love. I am an expression of love. And here again, we will have this little voice, this little angst come up and say, what do you mean? How can you say you're love? Look, and you know why? Because of all of the examples in our life that our mind, our ego will tell us, that wasn't loving, that wasn't loving. Look, how could you be loving? And so we scold ourselves all the time. We evaluate, we judge, we criticize what we have done or what we haven't done. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm less than. Growing up with it, it is in this subconscious. It's in the race conscious. And so time and time again, we want to clear the muddy waters. And speaking of that, I wanted to share with you a reading that I read this last week from Mark Nepo. It's out of the One Life We've Been Given. He says, everything in life has an inner quality that emanates from its center. That emanation of life force coming out of everything is spirit. We emanate a light from within. Though the mud of the world covers it while we're breaking trail, getting groceries, getting stuck in traffic, misunderstanding each other, and living with pain. Yet, just as light will make its way through a canopy of trees, the light we carry within will break through whatever we put in its way. Awakening is the result of any process that lets spirit emanate out of our being into the world. That process can be willful commitment to learning and growing and listening and loving, or it can be a process we don't look for that breaks us open, wears us down, or jars us into seeing. Either way, one purpose of consciousness is to gain access to the light of life in the muddy times that we don't feel lighted. So what he's talking about here is the fact that this energy is, and that we can communicate, we can draw it out actively, consciously, and yet when there are the muddy waters, when there are times when we feel like we are knee-deep in it, I believe that love is also there in those times. Encouraging us, giving us the spiritual muscles, so to speak, to discover the strength that we are. Discover, what we really are in our truth. We are here to evolve, to let go of the past and to move forward. We see this with our lives. We remember, well, maybe we don't remember, but we were little toddlers, or we see little toddlers, learning to walk, learning to ride the tricycle and then the bicycle. And there's an evolution of strength, of understanding, of not just physical, but of mental. And we're here to tap into this infinite being that we are. And so we constantly have to remove and let go of the lesser in order to allow and encourage and unfold the greater. How many of you are doing any spring cleaning these days? Well, it's been on my mind. Okay, you go with that one. I thought about it. I really should. Oh, no, we aren't going to use the word should. I could, no, and I can use that word. So, in fact, I had dinner with a girlfriend the other night I hadn't seen in a while. And she had lost a lot of weight. And we were talking about our clothes. And she likes to dress, I like to dress. So we have lots of clothes. And I need to clean out my closets. I really do. And, they're just jammed, just ridiculous. And because with me, see, I haven't changed my weight, I literally can wear the same things I wore in high school. And so, well, I won't tell you. But, so, I do. I have this one outfit. Never mind. And so, but styles have changed. So it's like I haven't weeded things out because I didn't outgrow them. You know what I'm saying? But I need, and so she and I, we made a vow to each other where she's going to come to my house and I'm going to go to her house and we're going to ruthlessly release, what needs to let go of. Why? Because we know that we need to let that energy go so that we can welcome, the Spirit will fill that vacuum with the new good stuff. I didn't have that in my notes. I'm not quite sure how that came up, but that's okay. I think I must have been gleaning it from this energy in this room. It's time for everybody to do some spring cleaning. So I have a day job. I wanted to tell you that, and you realize that. I have a day job where for years, actually next year will be my year that I will walk away from that. But I've been doing commercial insurance, writing commercial insurance for years and years. And I've had people ask me, why are you still doing that, at your age? You should retire, And I said, but I love it. I really, I like doing it, so why stop? And, but every day, literally, when I get into work, because it's commercial insurance, I wouldn't do personal lines, to tell you the truth. But commercial insurance, there is always a challenge. There's always something that comes up that I hadn't experienced before. And it's taken me several trips around the sun in this lifetime to finally get that whatever is coming up in my presence, in my acknowledgement of my experience, I can handle it. Maybe I don't personally know how to figure it out, but I can call somebody. I can make the connection. I can ask. I can get it figured out somehow. Now, that's just a little tiny example of all our lives, how we are growing and evolving no matter what is coming at us. So I was reading something this last week I thought was very interesting. Talks about, okay, so here's my intention. My intention is to know that I am love, right? Hope we got that figured out. That's our intention, to know I am love, to accept it, to feel it. Now, how am I going to remember to do that? In our day-to-day living, we are people of habits. Would you say that would be the case? You have habits that you do, or you fall out of habits, one way or the other. In any event, so it's like it was talking about tithing. When you are a tither, that means you give 10% of your gross income to where you're fed spiritually. So I have developed that practice, that habit of tithing. So whenever I get my, gross check, I total up whatever they pulled out, in the taxes and the savings and all that business. Then I get that bottom big number, and that's what I write my 10% check on, or maybe more than one. I give it to different places. So this thing that I was reading was talking about the fact that how can you tithe your mental coin to the recognition and the acceptance that I am love. So I got this figured out. Okay, I'm awake about 16 hours a day. So if I'm awake 16 hours a day, that would mean that I would need to think about love or think about God. If I'm tithing, right, that would be 1.6 hours in my waking time that I need to think about love, think about God. So that's an hour and 36 minutes. I had to get out my calculator. So for 36 minutes, I got that covered. Because literally when I get up in the morning, I do my spiritual reading, I do my meditation, I do that. So the 36, that's good. I've got a whole hour left in the day. How am I going to remember? What is the habit that I can establish to remember that I am love? Oh, do a little what's her name? Louise Hay. I love. How am I going to remember to do that? So I was sitting at my desk and I was taking a drink of water and I thought, oh, every time I take a drink of water, I can be reminded. Oh, and as I feel that going down, this is love. Love is flowing through me now. And if I linger in that acknowledgement, let's say for 2 minutes. Now, any of you who have ever done Toastmasters, you know that 2 minutes is a fairly decent amount of time. You know, look at how much time it takes to cook popcorn in the microwave. You know, 2 minutes is a chunk of time. So if you just linger in that knowing that I am loved, just for 2 minutes at a time, you're going to have to do that 30 times a day to get your hour. Is that right? I think I did the math right. You're going to have to do it 30 times a day. Now, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed here. And I could go on and on and on about how we could make the triggers happen, you know, and that's not my job. My job is to plant the seed for you to walk away from here today with the commitment and the intention to how am I going to make the habit, establish the routine. I'm going to tithe my mental coin to knowing that I am loved. And it's not just me. It's all. I'm going to look at, maybe looking in somebody's eyes. When you look into someone's eyes, see the love. Okay, I'll let you go home and play with how you want to do it. That's fine. But the thing of it is, don't just think about it. Just like we're thinking about cleaning out our closets, we need to do it. You know, the master teacher told us faith without works is dead. Blessed are you if you know these things. More blessed are you if you do them. It's like the fellow that had the collection of books, a whole shelf of books on meditation. And his friend came over and said, oh my gosh, look at all this you have on meditation. You must be a fabulous meditator. He goes, oh no, I read the books too much. I don't have time to meditate. We want to do these things. Paramahansa Yogananda said, pray a little, meditate a little, and think about God all the time. Well, I'm just asking you to give 10%, you know. Speaking of Yogananda, this was one of the paragrams that I read this last week. It's called Prudence. It is not your passing thoughts or brilliant ideas so much as your plain, everyday habits that control your life. Be directed with prudence or wise forethought. Be circumspect in all your actions. Be careful, discreet, and sensible. Intelligence is a mark of God. Live simply. Don't get caught up in the machine of the world. It is too exacting. By the time you get what you are seeking, your nerves are gone, the heart is damaged, and the bones are aching. Resolve to develop your spiritual powers more earnestly from now on. Learn the art of right living. If you have joy, you have everything. So learn to be glad and contented. Laugh at the world. Have happiness now. Wise words from a spiritual master. I was reading, I think it was The Science of Mind this morning, was talking about how it takes practice to become a master. And when someone is a master, it looks easy. Well, yeah, it looks easy because they've put a lot of effort and energy and time into that practice. So I'd like us all to be spiritual masters. What do you think of that? Are you up for it? The master teacher said, the kingdom, I can't begin the beginning of it. The kingdom, on the kingdom, and all else should be added unto you. Seek. I couldn't find the word seek. Thank you, dear. Seek you first the kingdom. Seek you first the kingdom. The kingdom of love. Love. Seek first the kingdom. And all else will be added unto you. All of the other stuff Like Paramahansa said, don't get caught up in all of that stuff. Oh my gosh. Get caught up in your spiritual prowess, in your spiritual muscles. Hey, do more than 10%. Do it 20%. Think about God all the time. Think about love. That you want to make that / God, love. Make it that way. So be happy. Accept this is the day the Lord has made. Yay! I will rejoice and be glad in it. Do 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 do. Don't worry, be happy. And so it is. Namaste.